According to law enforcement, right now the biggest threat on Inauguration Day are lone actors. And of course, there's no credible threats on the radar right this second, but regardless, lone actors very rarely give any warning signs, which is why there may be no credible threats. And of course, we have examples of lone actors trying things here in Washington, D.C. just recently, as well as some new information surrounding technology that has been used by attackers in the past that may create even more problematic scenarios for those who are trying to maintain a level of security around Inauguration Day. So I wanted to explain all this to you and give you this information just so you can remember to keep an eye on Monday. I talked about Inauguration Day being one of the dates to pay attention to just recently here on the channel. And of course, it's the last date on that list. So keep an eye out, be prepared, and understand that anything can happen. And Inauguration Day is kind of the last chance for anybody who wants to make their political statement heard to act. And that's why I think it's something that we should at least consider being problematic. Now, I do want to mention that Midway USA is the biggest supporter of the channel. And of course, thanks to them, I can get out here, give you this information, and check out new gear and equipment and let you know what works and what doesn't. So a big thanks to Midway USA for always supporting what I do. And if you've ever had to wipe out an entire swarm of Covenant on your own, hit the subscribe button down below because, well, apparently that's what I'm out here doing today. Now, first off, the lone actor situation we just had an example of in New Orleans, right? So we know that these lone actors can be very effective. There's a good chance that that one was actually on somebody's radar, but as of right now, we're being told that law enforcement has no credible threats that they're concerned about. But lone actors on their own with rudimentary tools can do a lot of damage. And Inauguration Day is expecting 250,000 attendees, as well as an additional 25,000 protesters or demonstrators, or just outside influencers in general. So that's a lot of people to try to manage and a lot of people that you can blend in with if you were to be some sort of lone actor. So I can understand the security risk and the heightened security environment. Now, Washington, D.C. is preparing for this, and they're setting up concrete barriers everywhere, and they have 30 miles of non-scalable fencing going up, but still, people might try something. This is why I think you should pay attention and just be aware of the fact that this is the last day on the list for a reason, and it's probably the biggest day that has the highest level of attraction for somebody who's trying to make a point and get the most media coverage as possible, right? So that's why I think it's a concern. Now, understand that just here recently at Jimmy Carter's funeral in D.C., they actually had 2 different attempts that were stopped by security, thanks to the Capitol Police, I guess. And those attempts were lone actors. What were those attempts? Well, somebody was trying to sneak in knives and machetes to the event. That's odd. I don't know what their motives were. Maybe they were a survivalist. I'm not sure. But I do know that that was stopped, and that is a red flag if you were to ask me. And somebody else was planning on lighting their vehicle on fire. Now, I'm not sure what the purpose of that would have been, a distraction or just to make a point. But if it was a distraction, what would have happened after had that vehicle actually been set on fire? We don't know. But this is an example of a lone actor trying to pull something off in Washington, D.C. during these events that was stopped, right? So, bit of information for you that could enable a lone actor to be more efficient in their attack that is concerning considering it was just changed now right before Inauguration Day. And that is DJI, the drone company, turning off geofencing for their drones here in the USA. Now, geofencing basically stopped your drone, if you had a DJI drone, from flying into restricted airspaces automatically. And that prevented people from being able to fly over airports or, of course, Washington, D.C. on Inauguration Day. And that was just recently shut off. Now, I don't know if there's anything nefarious there or anything along those lines. DJI has been targeted by our Congress and by our government for quite some time now. And, of course, they've been accused of a lot of things. So it could just be like a quid pro quo type situation. But regardless, it now allows somebody who wouldn't have been able to fly their drone into a restricted airspace to do so with less issues. And of course, yes, there's still remote tracking and all kinds of stuff that happens with these drones, but this now requires the government to physically stop a drone from being in the airspace it's not supposed to be in versus it just not being able to fly there to begin with. So now if some lone actor had some crazy idea, or I don't know, somebody decided they wanted to pull something and used a drone to do reconnaissance beforehand, like maybe we've seen in places like Pennsylvania at some point in time. Well, now they're more capable of doing that without as many restrictions. So obviously, there are examples of people trying things here recently. We know lone actors are very capable of causing catastrophic damage based on what we witnessed on New Year's Day in New Orleans. And we know drones have been used in attacks on Donald Trump here previously. And now those drones are even less restricted than they were before. So there's a good chance nothing will happen because hopefully law enforcement and the Secret Service, which can't get on a sloped roof, but apparently has this place locked down. Hopefully they get everything figured out so that there won't be any security issues. But you can understand why there's a possibility of one existing and why this would be somebody's last chance to do something and why you should pay attention to it and why I find it concerning. So just wanted to share this with you, give you a little update, give you some things to think about. Remember, lone actors are the biggest security threat right now on Inauguration Day in the most powerful country in the world, which should tell you exactly the state of the world right now, right? So, anything else you need from me at all, go to magicprepper.com. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.